We are in Pell City, Alabama at Fresh Value grocery store installing the first ever automated retail machine for ammunition.
We're getting ammo! Oh my God, the story's so crazy. All right, a Texas-based company called American Rounds has started installing bullet vending machines in a handful of grocery stores in Republican-led states to make loading your gun that much easier. Before we get into this, let's hear from the company's CEO, Grant Mayers, about the thought process behind these machines and how they work.
One of the ways we're changing the landscape of ammunition sales is to make it more available. Being able to move into a place like a grocery store, supermarket makes a lot more available to the public. But we're taking a different approach to it. Traditionally, ammunition is sold at outdoor type stores, your sporting goods stores, and it just sits on a shelf. It's very accessible. Because of that, there's a high rate of theft. But with our machines, as you can see here, we have, a very secure automated retail machine. We're able to age verify. We scan a driver's license and then takes 360 facial recognition for the purchase and matches it to the ID. So the machines really provide an opportunity for safe, affordable, and available ammunition sales.
Well, so at first glance, these machines seem pretty secure. They don't take cash and they only accept credit cards. The machines themselves weigh 2,000 pounds and the ammo is kept behind layers of locked steel. The company states that its system ensures all transactions comply with federal and local regulations. Mayers said this, people have in their mind the old type of vending machine that drops a candy bar to the bottom or a bag of chips. That's not how these operate. Well, that's good to know. Each machine contains an assortment of 12-gauge shotgun shells and 9mm rounds for rifles and handguns readily available for purchase. There is also no limit on the amount of ammunition one can buy other than when the machine just runs out of stock. 8 machines are currently installed or are in the process of being installed across 4 states right now. The first machine was put in a Fresh Value grocery store in Pell City, Alabama. 4 have been installed in Super C Mart locations in Oklahoma. 1 is in a Lowe's Markets in Canyon Lake, Texas, with another one coming soon. And another is being placed in Legree's Good stores in Buena Vista, Colorado. But if there's not one near you, rest assured, Mayers said that they are planning to expand. He says we have over 200 store requests for AARM or automatic ammo retail machine units covering approximately 9 states currently, and that number is growing daily. So before I give my thoughts, I want to hear what you guys think of this first. Let's start with you, Mark.
Well, I'm just so glad. It's very hard to get ammo and guns in America, and it's nice to see that that barrier is being taken down so that, I can, oh yeah, the ammo, I can pick it up when I pick up the eggs and the milk. I mean, there's an absurdity to it. It's so on brand in the United States of guns. I have to say, from the standpoint of, examining policy and how secure the machines are, et cetera, I'm just out of my depth on that. I mean, it sounds to me like they do a pretty good job of whatever that is, but my feeling is just a straightforward one, and it's a bias that I have. There's a proliferation of weapons in this country. There's a proliferation of those things that support the use of those weapons in this country. So I guess I'm sort of more is less as far as I'm concerned. So when you tell me that there are going to be more places where it's more convenient, you can get ammo everywhere you go, it's coming to a state near you, I don't view that as a good thing. That, again, is my bias.
Yeah, it feels like something that's almost like a lazy parody of gun nuts in this country. I don't think you think about things that we don't have that other developed countries have, or other services, public services, or even private. And then the quality of life elsewhere and how mass shootings are a uniquely American problem. And then you see this and it's just like, it almost doesn't feel real, but of course it is. The fact that this is something that's proliferating, people want it, and no one thinks about the consequences. I don't know. I just can't stand gun culture in this country. Even people who are like, oh yeah, I want some regulation, but I still want to be able to own one. I never understood that if you're not like hunting for your own food. I just don't get it. The proliferation of handguns in this country is one of the things that I cannot stand the most about living in America. But ammo vending machines at like grocery stores is just such a grotesque representation of our gun violence problem. I can't even stomach it.
Well, where are the teachers who are making sort of carry those pistols? What do they call them? Strapped all the time now. Mrs. Jones's second grade elementary class, she's going to have to be carrying a gun. Where are they supposed to get the ammo after hours, after school hours? And now they have the vending machines, Jordan.
Yeah, thank God.
I had a Miss Jones teacher in high school, and I would not want that woman to have a gun. But moving on.
Sounds like you had some issues with Miss Jones, but all right, maybe that for another time.
She actually liked me, but a lot of other people had. She was a character. I'll leave it there. But while some locals seem to be happy with these machines, experts warn that the dispensers could make it easier for criminals to get ammo. Who'd have thunk? David Puccino, legal director for the Giffords Law Center, the policy arm of the anti-gun violence organization started by former Arizona Representative Gabrielle Giffords, told USA Today, if it was a system that did do a background check, then we could talk about a system that prohibits unlawful sales. Their accomplishment is that they're making it easier and easier to source ammo, no questions asked. Currently, Texas, Oklahoma, and Alabama do not require a permit to purchase guns and don't require gun owners to have licenses or register their firearms. And most local laws don't even require ID for the purchase of ammunition. You have the industry exploiting gaps in the law ostensibly for the purpose of preventing theft, but potentially going the other way and removing all the checks without concern that ammunition in the wrong hands can kill people. Nick Saplina, Senior Vice President for Law and Policy at Everytown for Gun Safety, also expressed concern about the accessibility of the ammunition. He said, in a country awash in guns and ammo, where guns are the leading cause of deaths for kids, we don't need to further normalize the sale and promotion of these products. But the real question is, do residents in these states actually want machines like this, or do they want more gun control? In Texas specifically, nearly 3 in 4 Texans support raising the age to legally purchase a firearm in Texas from 18 to 21. According to a poll from the Texas Politics Project at the University of Texas at Austin from February, 90% of Democrats, 63% of Republicans, and 56% of independents support the idea of raising the legal age to purchase any firearm from 18 years of age to 21 years of age. And according to a national poll recorded in May of 2023, 6 in 10 adults say controlling gun violence is more important than protecting gun rights. As many of you know, I live in Texas, but I'm originally from New England, and suffice to say that the cultural differences between Texas and the Northeast are stark. But having lived here for over 20 years, I do think that Texas has a pretty unique perspective on the gun issue. We see kind of both sides of the argument, whereas people in more rural areas, let's say the Rocky Mountain states, they can't understand why the big city people want to take their guns away. And the people in the cities, maybe like you, Jordan, and along the coast, they can't understand why those gun people are so attached to their guns, or why gun rights activists, for example, seemingly don't care about things like school shootings. For most actual Texans, I'll say, I'm not talking about our elected leaders or like the NRA groupie types, but for most actual Texans, they understand that guns are serious, they're dangerous, and they should be treated as such. You have to respect the gun, right? Lots of normal people have guns in their homes, and most people take gun safety very, very seriously around here. And with that said, Texans understand the importance of common sense gun control, maybe more than anyone. No one's saying to take everyone's guns away. People are just tired of seeing our state and local officials dismiss the loss of innocent lives. Take the Uvalde school shooting, for example. That was a great example. We don't want to see those children's lives being taken as the price of freedom. No one was like, let's put ammo in vending machines, please. No one asked for it to be easier for people with demonstrably dangerous tendencies to gain access to guns. These are things that our state government is just doing despite calls for more gun control. Even a little bit of gun control would be better than what we have now. At this point, they may as well just start handing out guns for free at farmers markets. So anyway, Jordan, I know you have some thoughts. What do you have to say?
Yeah, it's not like these machines not existing would solve the problem. Like,
Right.
as the quotes that you pulled lay out, you can get this kind of stuff easily and readily, like anywhere. For instance, I got a buddy right now in the United States from the UK, and he wants to bet on England to win the Euros this weekend. And he posted a screenshot blocking him from betting wherever he is in the US right now. He can't bet on a sports game, a soccer game, but he could go to the nearest Walmart and buy a gun. And he was just pointing out the absurdity as someone who doesn't live here. Just, I can't put 20 euros or 20 pounds on a soccer game, but I can go out and buy a gun right now. And that's just how ridiculous our society is and how the rest of the world sees us. It's like a caricature, but it's only getting worse. And like you point out, in the aftermath of these school shootings, you see bereaved parents desperate for any sort of change so someone else doesn't have to go through the same pain and suffering that they are. And in response, you have leaders like Abbott, or in Florida with Rick Scott, and then DeSantis, totally dismissing these parents, these families, people who are grieving the loss of loved ones who were taken too early because of gun violence. They're not asking for guns to be completely banned. They're asking for sensible measures in the hope that it would prevent a future tragedy. That's not a lot. But these Republicans are so beholden to the gun lobby, they refuse to do anything, and more people will die as a result.
I'd say the beholden to the gun lobby and also to the gun culture. There is a, I think, overwhelming bit of evidence when it comes to looking at America, this, I always call it the United States of guns, which is sort of in the culture, baked in, is a, I don't know if it's displaced machismo or a peacocking about freedom, or I can do what I want to do. I don't know really. I think there are bits of all of that in it, but it is absolutely baked in. The idea somehow that your right as a gun owner supersedes all other freedoms. And when you then talk about the political expediency that people feel, like, the reason they play the politics of guns, I think there's so much associated with it that has to do with that. Not even any longer a fealty to the gun lobby, as much as the gun lobby as manifested by this populace that is dogged in their determination to hang on to gun rights. But this proliferation of guns throughout the culture, it's embarrassing. And again, I'm fascinated by those Texas stats that you were quoting us, because I just think I do perhaps have a cartoonish view of Texas as all of you guys down there, you have guns, you want guns, and you want to buy more guns this weekend and then more guns next weekend. But that's, again, I'm overstating it, of course, to make a point, but that's my bias, as I say, that I may just say, God, they've lost their way on this thing. So I'm interested in the fact that they want responsible gun ownership down there and responsible gun ownership laws and some restrictions. That fascinates me in a state like Texas. So I'd love to know more about that. And I'm going to follow up on it, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, we were talking before the show, and I told you I'm originally from Connecticut, and I moved down here, and I think I was like 11 when I moved down here. And what was interesting is I've never really fully acclimated to living in Texas. Let me tell you that, right? So this has never really felt like my home. So I always kind of look at Texas culture as an outsider looking and just kind of observing. And I remember when I was moving from Connecticut to Texas and telling my friends, oh yeah, it's a normal place down there. They have like roads and it's a city. Because my friends were like, do you have to ride a horse to go to school? No, I don't. I get to ride in a car. They have school.
Where do you put your burro during class? Is it tied up there?
I mean, speaking of like that cartoonish caricature that you have of Texas, I think that is pretty prevalent anywhere outside of Texas, and people in Texas don't understand that. Let me tell you, right? They don't get that, but it does have its own culture that is distinct, even among the southern states, even among like the Rocky Mountain states. It's very, very specific, and they take a lot of pride in that culture. And ultimately, I'm glad that you did mention culture, Mark, when you were talking, because that really is what it comes down to. And I always think it's crazy whenever you're talking about the gun control issue, because it always comes down to human rights, like actual lives, versus gun rights, something that is not alive. But the gun rights, it's representative of the entire culture. If you get rid of the guns, you're throwing away the entire culture, everything a place like Texas even represents. And that's not something that people are comfortable with or know how to contend with. And unfortunately, lives are lost because of it. And unfortunately, oftentimes those are very, very young lives. Most of the time, they're innocent lives. And, the whole idea that guns in schools are going to make it better, that a good guy with guns is the only way to stop a bad guy with guns. It's not proactive, right? It's not preventative at all, right? So even if a good guy does show up with a gun, somebody has probably already died at that point. And you have to ask yourself, is that a risk that I'm willing to take? For a lot of our elected leaders, yes, it is. For mothers, for family members, for anyone who has a loved one who has died from gun violence, no, it's not. It's not acceptable. So, anyway, any final thoughts, Jordan? What do you say?
The guns in schools thing, or just the good guy with a gun argument, never really made sense to me. Because what you're saying is, what would really help this situation where you have an active shooter? Crossfire. Yeah. Like in what way is that helpful? Just I guess thank God I haven't been in that situation. I would hope, although the worst thing is it seems increasingly likely that I will, but I haven't up until now been in a situation where someone had a gun and was shooting. I can't imagine how terrifying, how nerve-wracking, how panic-inducing that situation would be. And then to think somebody who might be startled and has a gun pulls theirs out as well and starts firing. Like, it's a recipe for disaster. The solution is to respond to what people like gun advocates are saying, respond to what they're suggesting, saying, hey, how do we keep the guns out of the hands of people who would do that? What preventative measures, like you're saying? It shouldn't be reactive. Like how can we prevent this from happening to begin with? That's the solution. It seems clear as day.
I mean, the problem is that they feel as though it has to be hands off any kind of restrictions or any kind of modifications to any laws regarding firearms because it's slippery slope, et cetera. I mean, it's almost viewed with like a sort of divine kind of sanctity, that you really can't get near. But it's worth noting at the NRA convention, what's the one thing they don't allow in the convention hall? If you guess guns, give yourself points. So much for that's, I presume, all good guys with guns, yet they don't want anybody to have a gun. You explain it to me.
No, I cannot explain that one. What are you going to say, Jordan?
Sorry for interrupting. But I was just going to point out, like, other countries have this figured out. And some of the responses, some of the policy solutions might sound restrictive to these gun nuts, but it does make sense. For instance, in Australia, if a couple living together, they both have guns, you're required to keep them in a locker. This is the law. As far as I know, it might still be standing, but it was as of a couple years ago. And every once in a while, a government representative will come just to check, make sure you're storing them safely, securely, and they're locked. And what they might do sometimes is to check and see if your partner knows the code to your gun locker and vice versa. And if they show you, if you reveal that you know the other person's code, you both lose it because you're only supposed to have access to your own gun. So it's a little restrictive, and it's very restrictive compared to what the US does, but that makes sense. And that's why you don't have a wave of mass shootings in Australia. New Zealand, in the response to Christchurch, immediately, no more, we're done. No assault rifles, you're out. We can barely keep a bump stock ban on the books for a few years. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's out of control. I don't know how it's gonna wrap up from this point. I don't know how we're gonna get past this because whenever something is embedded into a culture, it takes an incredibly long time for it to to work past that, right? It's like everybody has to get there emotionally first, and that takes a long time for people. They have to want that change in the first place, right? And right now, a lot of them don't. A lot of the people who are in control they're not there yet, right? So
thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.